Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. Today, we're going to a very interesting place, one of my most favorite places in Manila, and I'll show it to you. This is the dress I'm wearing today. The Church of the Immaculate Conception of St. Augustine. The district is called Intramuros. The old city is located here, but I'll tell you more about it a little later. And now we are entering the church. The status of this site is a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1993. First, we'll go into the museum at this church. The year of construction completion was 1607. And we can see ancient paintings. The museum is very interesting, and you'll see for yourselves in a moment. Look how beautiful it is here. It's like being in some kind of movie. It really reminds me of the Harry Potter castle. There are the same huge paintings and the same gorgeous, spacious corridors. But I really like the courtyard. In general, churches in the Philippines have very beautiful courtyards with palm trees and fountains. The church is in the Spanish Baroque style with elements of the Renaissance. I feel like I've just walked onto some kind of movie set. This is the oldest surviving church in the Philippines. This church has survived numerous earthquakes, the Second World War, and the British occupation of Manila. In 1945, they bombed just about everything here, and this church even survived the bombing. Can you imagine the energy this place has? I'm walking through this inner garden, and I can't imagine how much this place has been through. The tiles are covered with moss, it's pleasant to walk here, and the sun comes in very beautifully. The building was designed with very thick walls, and an elliptical foundation, which helped this building to stand. In this church, there are even people who are buried right here. For example, Miguel Lopez, who is the founder of Manila. And the museum itself houses ancient artifacts, manuscripts. There are even vestments of priests, paintings, and sculptures from the colonial era. All the paintings that are behind me now are also from the colonial era. You know another interesting fact? This church is even called the Earthquake Church by the locals because of its resilience. During the Second World War, this church was used as a camp for internees. This church, in terms of its architecture, is considered one of the most richly decorated, despite all its austerity. The staircase is so huge, like from a Harry Potter movie. A chair made of red velvet. And this is what the halls look like here. I'm already on the second floor. And here's the corridor. You can look out the window at the courtyard. It's not big, but it's very cozy. There's a lot of woodwork here. And again, we see a figure without an arm. It remains a mystery. Why are some of the figures here missing their arms? You can go into every room in this museum, and each room has its own specific exhibits. I like that there are few people here because, for example, in Moscow and St. Petersburg, people love museums and go there all the time. Besides the locals, there are also tourists, so the museums are always full. Sometimes you can't even get into a museum for a month because the line is huge, especially in St. Petersburg. There's a prayer room here. I'll show it to you now. Let's go in and have a look. The doors are closed, so we'll look at it like this. Look how beautifully the light comes in from these windows. It creates such a fairy tale atmosphere. I wonder why they don't restore it or do something to stop it from deteriorating further, because you can clearly see it's falling apart here. And this room is dedicated to plants. Priests studied plants, made medicines from them, and conducted various experiments. They made them in these kinds of jars. And there are a lot of drawings of plants here. Here are the drawings of these plants. Now I'll show you a painting of the priest who wrote a book about these plants and about what they were able to make from them. Thanks to these people, we know what each plant is and what it's used for. They found different plants and left descriptions of how they could be used in medicine or what could be eaten. It's incredibly interesting. They made a huge contribution to science. Be sure to visit this church and this museum if you're in Manila. It's just something incredible. It's mesmerizing. There are many interesting things you can learn here. I'm telling you the most well-known facts about this church, but it's much more interesting if you come here yourself, read everything, and you'll be very surprised. That's why I'm not going to tell you and show you everything, so you don't lose interest in this place. I just want to spark your desire to learn more about this culture because Manila is worth your attention, believe me. Now I'm going into a place where various important people for the Filipinos are buried, including the founder of Manila. People are praying there. I don't know if filming is allowed there, but I'll try to film for you, but silently. Here, a lot of people are buried, including people who fought against the Japanese. There's another room further down here. There's a very pleasant smell of incense here. Very beautiful stained glass windows. Catholics practice cremation, but for us, Orthodox Christians, burial in the ground is customary. Everything is so different for us, different rituals. The entrance to the church itself is closed now because there's a wedding going on. But we can at least take a little look at it. Its architecture, how the ceiling is decorated here. It was here that important events for Filipinos took place. Royal and aristocratic weddings took place here. Now I'll show you a bit of the old town. There's some kind of market going on here now, so there are a lot of people. Filipino street food. This is not Thai. In Thailand, at least they cook with more or less normal products. Here, there's a concept called second-hand food. It's when people in very poor areas go, for example, to where they throw away leftovers from KFC. They dip it in batter and refry it and then sell it. But here we saw a street food stall where there are a lot of foreigners. There are a lot of Americans here who are buying these pies. A Filipina girl, right in front of our eyes, is putting in a filling of normal meat, egg, and some kind of dough. And then she fries it right away. This is what it all looks like. Her oil is clear. Everything looks very good, so we decided to try it for the video. This Filipino pie. Ivan wants me to be the first to try it. I've never tried anything like this before. It's incredibly delicious. Let me try. Very juicy. I was very skeptical about it, but it turned out to be incredibly delicious. And behind me is another church. We'll show it to you. It's one of the most popular ones here. We entered this beautiful church, but there's also a wedding going on here. The beautiful architecture of the church with stained glass windows. There are a lot of them here. And these Christmas trees, everything is so festive and beautiful. Such an interesting vehicle. Hello. Here's another building with columns. Unfortunately, it hasn't been fully restored, but it's still very beautiful. Here's a local barbershop. I suggest Ivan get a haircut, but for some reason he doesn't want to. It's very strange why. You see how they cut hair here. There's an opportunity now to see how the local people live. You see how the children spend their time here. I like to see how the local people live. I'm walking by and so many things surprise me. We've come to the walls that surround the old city. They served as a shield for this city. Now I'll tell you a little about them. The wall is 4.5 kilometers long. It was built to protect against pirates and various uprisings, to protect this city, and that's what they call it, the city behind the walls. You can walk on top of this wall. So now we'll take a walk here and see how beautiful it is. The nature here is simply mesmerizing. The city behind the walls is also called Intramuros. Well, that's what it means in Spanish, the city behind the walls. This city was founded in 1571. It was founded by the Spanish conquistador Miguel Legazpi, who is actually buried in that church. This city became the political, military, and religious center of the Spanish Philippines. In the past, only the chosen few could live within these walls, and they were only the Spanish, and some members of the colonial elite. Local residents and the Chinese were forbidden to settle or even be here. In 1945, Intramuros was almost completely destroyed during the Second World War. During the Battle of Manila, you see there are a lot of cannons here that guarded this wall. And this is basically the inside of the city. The church that I showed you is the only one that survived. I've already told you about that. Everything else they had to restore. I'll show you a bit more of this city from above. There's another interesting historical fact. During sieges, the people who lived in the city, they would hide underground. In this city, there are many different tunnels underground. There were armories, prisons, and simply shelters for the local residents. So that was the tour I gave you of Intramuros. It's very different from the main part of Manila. It has narrow streets, balconies, and cobblestones. It's very reminiscent of, for example, Southern Europe or Latin America.